Trump's older daughter, Ivanka, will introduce her father when he speaks tomorrow night.
This arena was noticeably empty at about 10:45 last night. That would usually be a time for a high-profile speech to a very packed house. We took a look back at the last 4 GOP conventions and at 10:45 p.m. on day 2. Here's a crowd in 2012 during a speech by Governor Chris Christie. When Senator Joe Lieberman spoke back in 2008, this arena was packed. In 2004, First Lady Laura Bush filled plenty of the seats. And in 2000, Senator John McCain fired up supporters of then Texas Governor George W. Bush.
Paul Manafort, chairman of the Trump campaign, is with us, along with Bloomberg Politics managing editor John Heilemann. John is also co-host and executive producer of The Circus on Showtime, a division of CBS News. Great to have you here.
It's good to be here.
Let's start with tonight. This is day 3 of this convention. We're going to hear from another one of Donald Trump's children, Eric Trump, and from the vice presidential nominee, Mike Pence. First, Eric Trump, you've read his speech.
It's a powerful speech. I mean, he talks about his father. He talks about growing up with his family. And it gives you a real good insight into the kind of father Donald Trump is and the kind of man he is and the kind of values that he puts into his children. And we believe that through the words and eyes of his children, the American people can get a sense of the kind of values that Donald Trump has as a man that you don't see out on the campaign trail in the midst of a primary fight.
And it says something about him as a father as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the strength of Donald Trump are the parts of his personality that you don't really see every day. He's the man who sees a problem that has nothing to do with him and just out of compassion or frustration will get involved to fix things. But he has the same skill sets that you do see on the campaign trail when he talks about, I'm going to fix the problem. I'm going to break the gridlock.
Yeah, both Tiffany and Donald Trump Jr. got rave reviews, but this is a question for both of you. I saw a headline this morning that said, the improbable is now the official. So, Paul Manafort, you say, my plan is working.
Well, first of all, it's his plan.
But, Paul, you're getting a lot of credit.
Does he ever remind you of that?
Only a couple times a day.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of credit today.
And, well, look, I mean, I feel blessed that I was put in the position because he saw what was going on in America. He understood the frustration and the anger. And he tapped into that. And when the book gets written, you look back, you're going to say, why did everybody else miss it?
But you're saying that you also had been following the campaign. So when the call came to you that they needed something in addition for the campaign as it had gotten larger, you already knew the campaign, and there was not a lot of structure there, so you could come in.
Yeah, they'd gotten to a point where there were technical things that the campaign needed that weren't there, that Donald Trump wasn't focusing on because he was dealing with the American people and the messaging, and he was winning. It's just the way the primary process works. Sometimes winning isn't enough.
But is there still a battle within Donald Trump that, I did this on my own. I trust my instincts, and I listen to myself.
And I don't need the party.
And I don't need the party.
No, I think you've seen the convergence of the Republican Party, National Committee, and the Trump campaign has been seamless. I mean, Trump understands that he's the messenger. This is the Trump party now. I mean, there's the nominee of the party. Republicans have said, we trust you to lead us into the elections this fall because we think you're the strongest candidate and you have the best vision. The platform showed that. The delegates here showed that. The record number of votes he got in the primary showed that. So Trump understands he now has a responsibility that came together last night when he became the nominee. But he also understands that it's a movement, and he says it's a movement. And as a movement,
delegates said last night to me, it's a movement too.
You define the movement. What is the movement?
The movement it's similar to what you saw.
Go ahead.
It's similar to what you saw in the UK a couple weeks ago with Brexit. It's people who are frustrated by being promised every election cycle that their life's going to get better, that people there are going to be changes by the government that will make you, if you just give up your personal freedom, if you just give up control in the local communities and let us faceless bureaucrats in Washington take care of things.
Well, you certainly hear that on the floor. John Heilemann.
John, you're there every day.
What's your take on the convention so far and what needs to happen tonight?
I think it's really, first of all, just on a historic level, it is a staggering thing that's taken place in the sense that by any normal Republican precedent or tradition, there's no way Donald Trump can be the Republican nominee. It's a party that's based on kind of order and credentials and primogeniture, who's the next in line. Donald Trump had none of those things, and as Paul said, read the wind and weather in the party in a really cute way and capitalized on it. And last night in the roll call, he sat there and said, every doubter has now been put to rest, and even people who were doubted all the way up to the last minute that somehow never Trump would stop him, there'd be a second ballot. None of those things happened. He got consecrated last night, and it was kind of a stunning thing. He still remains an incredibly unlikely figure, again, given what the history of the party is, for him to do it. And I do think it tells you a lot, because it's still the case, as Paul knows, that a lot of Republican elected officials have doubts about Donald Trump. The leaders of the party have doubts about Donald Trump. The governor of this state is not setting foot inside the convention hall. But it tells you that in some ways that those people are out of touch with the Republican base, and that Donald Trump was not part of the party all that long ago, not a member of the party even 3 or 4 years ago, is more in touch with what the Republican base, what the Republican rank and file, than a lot of the establishment leaders of the party
Republican
are.
base enough to win the election?
The Republican base isn't enough to win the election, although it's a good start. But in fact, what is enough to win the election is where Donald Trump is finding appeal. Blue-collar working people, families who have jobs and can't make enough to pay their way. I mean, people are frustrated with Washington. And the race comes down to a very simple calculus: change versus establishment. And from Donald Trump's standpoint, who is the ultimate outsider, he couldn't have a better opponent in Hillary Clinton, who is the epitome not just of the establishment, but of 25 years of the establishment.
What changes have you made in wake of what happened Monday night with Melania Trump's speech? Are you fact-checking the speeches, or you're...
We fact-check the speeches all the time, and there's a process. Look, Melania Trump spoke from her heart, and I mean, that was a very personal speech. I mean, for anybody to pretend that speech was a fake speech, didn't see the speech.
I don't think nobody doubts that at all.
And nobody doubts her performance, we ought to say.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody looks at that speech and say they should have ended as soon as she finished, because that was when this crowd was on their feet, because they were applauding her and her performance.
Well, we did end it when the speech was finished, and she left the stage to resounding support. And frankly, we have found in our focus groups afterwards, including yesterday, that the American people are focusing on what she did on the stage, not what's being said in the political chatter rooms. As far as we're concerned, both Melania Trump's vision, insights into her husband, and last night Tiffany and Eric Donald's Jr.'s insights into their father were impactful. And that's what we wanted to do at this convention, to show the other side. John said something a minute ago. Yes, Donald Trump's an outsider. And that's why he's bringing the party together is taking a little time.
Is the test of this campaign whether you can make the economic argument to minorities, to African Americans, and to Latinos, to get them to come to the economic argument that has been successful for you so far? That's the challenge.
We are going to be speaking to all of those communities. In fact, we've had 2 speeches canceled because of tragedies that happened elsewhere. We were actually in those communities getting ready to make major speeches, but Mr. Trump felt it wasn't appropriate, given I can't even remember, there have been so many now, which ones they were. But our campaign is going to be going out and talking to all parts of the electorate, not just one segment of it. Because frankly, we have found, that the jobs message, as you're talking about it, the frustration is not just in the white and suburb communities. It's as deep in the black communities and cities. And as Donald Trump said to me, I want to go there because I think
right now they were saying there are only 18 delegates of color, so I guess you all will be working on that sooner rather than later.
Well. The delegates get elected at the state level.
Yes,
that has nothing to do with us.
I hear you. The headline says it's official, the outsider is in. So,
Thank you, Paul.
Manafort, congratulations
Thank you, John.
today.
John Heilemann.
Paul Manafort and John Heilemann are joining us today. We thank you.